Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Malone T&K Podcast. I'm here with Staci Martin. She's one of the owners of Apricot Boutique. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. How your day been so far?
So far, it's been pretty good. Got a lot of work done.
That's good. That's good. I wanted to ask you, what was your biggest dream as a kid?
My biggest dream as a kid was to be a classroom teacher.
Oh,
Yeah. I used to play school all the time.
you have a lot of siblings?
No, I would play with my dolls and my stuffed animals, and I would tape notebook paper to the wall, and that would be my chalkboard.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I want to ask you, what was something that, what's a quote someone that gave you when you were younger that stayed with you?
A quote.
Mhm.
I don't know necessarily if it was a quote, but mainly just, whatever your heart desire is, whatever you feel the Lord's leading you to, that's where you need to go.
Okay. Have you always been a religious person?
Yes.
You always been a church goer?
Yes.
Even Wednesdays through the week?
Yeah, we used to go on Wednesdays. We used to go Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday nights. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Want to ask you, when you were going through school, is there anything that made you want to do anything else besides school teacher, or you just knew right then school teacher was for you?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to be a classroom teacher.
Right.
And when I first started, I thought, classroom teachers don't make a whole lot of money, so maybe I should just do nursing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started, I tried to go into nursing. I did 20 hours of volunteer work in the hospital, and I knew I wasn't supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lord just showed me, I told you this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. So I quickly turned back into education, and that's what I did.
Well, that's good. I wanted to ask you, I wrote down that you met your husband in 7th grade.
I did.
Tell me how you guys met.
We were in middle school. He was actually a grade older than me, and I was walking with my friend Robin, and I saw him, and I looked at her, and I said, I'm going to marry him one day. I don't know what the connection was that I felt, but I did, and the rest is history. We've been married for 31 years.
Congratulations. Any advice for people that are married?
Just communicate. Communication is the best thing that you can do. If you, we went to marriage counseling before we got married, and the one thing that the preacher mentioned to me that I really took to heart is, if you don't talk about things, it's like shoving a bunch of things into a closet, and you just keep shoving it and shoving it and shoving it and shoving it, and then one day you open it and it all pours out.
Right.
And then it's just too much. But if you deal with it as it comes, it's a lot easier, and I agree with that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I wanted to ask you about your college days.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what specifically is, I wrote down you went to TJC, correct?
I did. When I started college, UT Tyler was a 2-year university. It wasn't a 4-year. So I started at TJC. I did 2 years at TJC, and then I finished at UT Tyler.
Okay. Whenever you first got out, were you doing, oh my gosh, not a mentorship, like were you, like what was it like trying to be a teacher in college?
So your last semester as going as to be in education, you do student teaching. So you're actually going into the classroom, and you're actually the teacher. They teach you how to slowly take over the classroom, and so eventually the classroom teacher would leave, and I would be teaching all day. I would be the one in charge of the class. So it really, helped you to see what it was going to be like when you got into your own classroom.
That's good. That's good. Let's see. What else I wanted to ask you, when you were first starting out as a teacher, what was something that you realized that was different than what they taught you in college?
Well, the reality of everything that happens in that classroom is on you. So you're not just a teacher, you're a parent. Like, I was their mama. I listened to them. I had to almost be like a psychologist, a nurse. You're not just dealing with the education aspects of it. If you're really invested in those students, then you're dealing with, I had a bad morning this morning, and I can't sit in class and listen because this happened to me. So you're having to try to help the kid get through that so that they can come into the classroom and be prepared to learn. So.
Okay. Is it difficult to separate? So do you bring your kids home with you mentally every day?
Every day. I prayed for those students all the time. Every day.
Okay. wanted to ask you, whenever you were teaching everything, I understand that you're a mother now.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you, what was it like when you first heard you were going to have a kid?
Well, it was exciting. And then I didn't know I was having twins until I was 4 months pregnant. So it was a shock, which changed the trajectory of everything that we were doing because, I was planning on going back to work. But when you have 2 babies that you're having to take to daycare, it changes things. So my husband and I decided that I would be a stay-at-home mom. So I left the classroom for a little while.
So was it hard for you to leave the classroom?
At that time, no, because I had these Morgan and Mason were my main responsibility at the time. That's all I could think about.
Correct. All right, whenever you have, what's something that's like a reality that hit you when you had the babies and you have them in your hand? What was your first thought?
Oh, my goodness. What am I going to do now? It was a big, I remember crying because I wanted to be a good mom. And the great thing is my mom moved in with us for 6 weeks. And she, my husband worked in Longview at the time, and we lived in Tyler behind TJC. And so he would sleep in the spare bedroom, and the babies were in a crib in the master bedroom, and Mom would stay in there with me, and she would help me, she really helped me learn how to handle things and what to do, and so it was nice.
I want to ask you, what it's like to really have twins? Because usually some people are struggling with one kid, but it seems like you guys managed to make it with twins.
It was very stressful. We had a lot of help. We had a lot of prayer and support. I had a lady every single Sunday bring me diapers, every Sunday at church. When I saw her, she had diapers for me. It was, you heard the saying, it takes a village. It was a lot of support and help.
Well, that's good. Were you ever able to go back to teaching?
Yes. So when the kids finished their first year of first grade, I got a call from Grace Community and asked if I wanted a teaching position. It had been almost 8 years since I was in the classroom. And so I went in and I took the job. I put Mason and Morgan back into first grade at Grace because I was afraid they would be behind. And so I taught 2 years at Grace Community. And Morgan started having health problems. And so we had that chapter of our life closed. And I thought I was going to stay home with her and homeschool her. She was diagnosed with a disorder, or I guess it's a disorder. I don't know what you call it. It's called tuberous sclerosis complex. She has 10 tubers in her brain. She's overcome a lot to be where she is today. She luckily has a mild form of it. She still has seizures occasionally. But for the most part, nothing like she was having when she was in school. She would have seizures all the time at school. I would teach my class. They would come get me, say, Morgan's having a seizure. I would take her to the nurse's station. I'd lay her in the bed, and then I'd go back in the classroom and finish teaching.
So that's very stressful.
Yes, it was. Some mornings I would be driving to work, and she would have a seizure, and I would have to pull up to the front, carry her in, lay her in the nurse's bed, and go park my car and finish the day.
You're a strong individual for that. Just to keep going. Whenever luckily she was able to have a recovery, and when she was she able to go back to school?
Yeah, once she slept it off, she would go back into the classroom and finish learning. And then when I thought I'd have to homeschool her that summer, we got her seizures under control. So then we put her into White House.
Okay.
And then that's when I applied in White House just to do a tutoring job, just to get out of the house for a little bit. And they needed a 4th grade teacher. This was the end of October. And so I took that, and then that's what I did for 14 years.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what different grades have you taught?
I taught 1st grade at Grace. I taught 2nd grade in Lindale. It was my first teaching job out of college. And then I ended with 4th grade.
What's the big difference, between 1st, 2nd, and 4th grade?
Oh, goodness. 4th grade, they're just more independent. They, you really, like in first and second grade, you're still like teaching them how to read and to read well. You're teaching them how to write and to write well. By fourth grade, they pretty much know how to do that. So you're really teaching the concepts better.
What's your favorite subject to teach?
Well, I love writing. I love poetry, and I love to write little jingles. So in the classroom, we did a lot of singing, and because I wrote a lot of little jingles to different, like capital letters or verbs or adjectives. I would write little jingles so my students could, because that's how I learned.
Right.
I learned by music. I always told my students, how many of you have ever heard a song and then you hear it again and you already know it? And so that's what I brought into the classroom. I feel like if you could remember it, so if we put it to a beat, then you'll sing it. Yeah.
That's good. I'm happy. I'm about to say, one thing I want to ask you is, for all your years of teaching, before we go to the business part, do you notice like any big differences in how it's like, has the school system been the same all the way through from when you first started to the end, or have it like dramatically changed?
I think it's dramatically changed. I think there's a way more pressure on teachers now. I think that they pile too much on one teacher to deal with in a classroom. And of course, we all know the pay is nothing what it should be. I think it should be way more, but
I noticed that.
But I just feel like if I could have gone into my classroom and just taught what I was supposed to teach, it would have been so much easier. But you're dealing with testing, you have scores you have to deal with, you have parents that aren't exactly supportive, and sometimes it wasn't the case for me. I had great administration. I loved my administration, but I've talked to teachers who don't have that, and they don't have the support, and it makes it really difficult. It's highly stressful. Most of the teachers I knew took some kind of anxiety medicine because it's just a highly stressful job.
I believe it, because I mean, I feel like a lot of teachers don't get enough like praise and the help that they need. Cause I'm thinking about like, this is like the younger generations, like it's going to be the ones coming up, taking care of people when we get older. So it's like, are they really prepared? Yeah.
And when you have to go, to me, I was raised old school. So I was raised respect your elders. When you're in the classroom, your teacher is in charge. You don't act up. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And nowadays, I feel like a lot of the parents don't want to bruise their child's self-esteem, so they just kind of let them do whatever they want to do, and they can decide on their own. And that's really harmful to me. When you put them out into society, that's not how the world works.
It's not?
No.
Because you're kind of like babying them and be like, oh, it's okay to kind of keep, but then when the reality hits, they're kind of like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I wanted to ask you this. When you were teaching at House, what came to the conclusion that you wanted to open up your own boutique?
I didn't know at the time that I wanted to open a boutique. When I turned 50, went home and told my husband, I said, I don't know what it is, but I truly feel like there's a change coming. I always knew that education, being in the classroom, was my mission field. And I always told the Lord, okay, Lord, I know I'm not going to be able to retire from teaching because I stayed home for too many years. But if it's time for me to do something different, you'll have to open a door for me and shut the classroom teaching door. And so it was probably a year later, my husband approached me and said, hey, I found this opportunity for it's a franchise. It's Christian-based. And I really think that we should pray about it. And I was a little offended because I thought, I'm not leaving the classroom. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And Scott just, encouraged me, please pray about it, Staci, please pray about it. And so we prayed about it for a long time. And as we prayed, things just started lining up for us to the point where it worked out so smoothly that you couldn't deny that this is the direction we were supposed to go in. And so when it came down to it, I said, okay, let's do it. It was scary, but it was exciting because I knew that this was a new chapter for us.
Let me ask you, what is it like really opening a franchise? It's not like you open up your own individual. It's like a franchise. How do you get into a franchise?
So they have to almost interview you and to see that you fit well with their business plan. Even though it is a franchise, once you open it, it's your baby. You know, I pick everything in the store. My daughter and I do. They don't tell us what brands to buy or what styles to buy. Every Apricot Lane is different and unique as far as, so it reflects the owners and their customers. Once you learn your customer, you can kind of figure out what it is that they like, and that's what you start trying to buy, so that they will, every time they come in, they find something that they like.
Right, because I know when you had discussion earlier about like catering to your regulars.
Yes.
Because a lot of it, I feel like, how are you able to, like, it's just people that continue to keep coming? I know what a regular is, but like, are they people that you just know their styles? Is it more about you just want to have like a broad selection that brings in?
Well, it's both. We want to have a broad selection, but we also want, I mean, sometimes when we go to market, we look at a piece and we're like, oh my goodness, so-and-so would love this. So we have individual customers in mind, but yet we still try to have a vast array of things so that anybody can come in and find something.
Right. I want to ask you, when I was looking at the website, are there any men owners, or is it just mainly women?
There are husband and wives that do own Apricot Lanes, but I think for the most part it's women.
Okay.
But I have met husbands and wives that are owners.
Okay, that's good. So I want to ask you, does Apricot Lane, do they give you like reports and like quotas you have to meet?
They do. They say this is what we would like for you to do for this month. Sometimes, you know, we have the headquarters for Apricot Lane's fabulous. They'll have meetings with the girl that helps me go over my numbers every month. She looks at what we've sold and how much we have in inventory, and she helps me make sure that either if I have too much, what I need to do, you know, back off a little bit, or she'll say, hey, you're really low in tops. It looks like you sold this many tops in August. You probably should bring in more tops. And so we talk. That really helps me keep my store balanced.
Okay. I want to ask you, what was it like when you first opened the store?
Oh, it was so scary, but it was so fun, and we had so many family and friends that came out and supported us. It was phenomenal. The community has been great. They've really they've come out and they've supported us, and the longer we're open, the more people get to know about us, and it's exciting. I've enjoyed meeting new people, and some of our regulars are just like friends.
Right.
They just come in and hey, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. I want to say you guys been open for over a year. Yeah,
July 21st of 22 is when we opened.
I want to ask you, what was the curve you had to? I'm gonna have to tell you like this. I'm sorry. What's something you had to learn about owning a business? Was social media a big curve for you or no?
Well, I don't deal with the social media. You wouldn't want me to. I'm old school. I don't know a whole lot. Morgan, my daughter, and we have another key holder, Tiffany, and they really work on our social media for us and keep everything going. So I don't really deal with that part very much.
I know it's fine, but I know some people, for social media, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it would be for me. That's why I don't do it.
That's good. I want to ask you, how did you and your daughter become a partnership with trying to run a business?
Morgan had just graduated with her master's degree in human resources, and she was working for UT Health, and I really felt like she would be great to be in the business with me because she's always been fashion forward. She's very friendly. Having her degree in HR, I felt like it would help her deal with customers and employees, and I just felt like I should give her that opportunity before I approach someone else. And so, because I needed a manager for the store. So she's basically the manager. And I told her, you don't have to do it because it's going to be way different from what you're doing right now. But if you want to pray about it and let me know. And she said, okay. So here we are.
To this day. I wanted to ask you, where do you see the business in the next 5 years?
Oh, goodness. I hope in the next 5 years that it is the go-to store for women in Tyler. I want everybody to go, if they're going somewhere, let's go to Apricot Lane and see if they have something. I want them to think of us before, because what a lot of people don't realize is a boutique versus a big box store there's a vast difference. In here, in our store, we try to pick out everything. When you go to a big box store, they're just sent items. There's no picking it out for their customers. They don't really try to learn their customers. And plus, I only get 6 of something. So when I get a new top in, and there's only 6 of them. So when those 6 are gone, there's not another one that's going to come in the store.
You mean like a big box store? You meaning like a Target or like a Ross or something like that?
Yes, or TJ Maxx or Kohl's. They get a lot of one item, and we carry brands that you're not going to see in those stores as well.
Right. So. Right. Wanted to ask you about do you serve alcohol in your boutique?
We have a little refrigerator in the back that does have a few things in it. We have water.
Okay.
We do have some beer, and we do have some, what is it called? Spiked lemonade, Topo Chicos. And then on Saturdays, we serve pudding shots, and those have a little bit of alcohol in them.
I believe it. I want to ask you about the ATF.
Oh, what happened?
The ATF. I wanted to ask you
that
about
was a shocker for us. So, you learn new things all the time. Morgan had gone to a boutique in Austin, and they had given her this little gummy, and it was had alcohol in it. And she came to me. She said, "Mom, this is the neatest thing. We should get these for our store." And they came in these boxes. There was like 10 of them in a box, and the boxes were very like life is a party. I mean, they had all kinds of great sayings on them. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, these would be great for birthday parties or bachelorette parties. Something different and unique, because I'd never seen it before. So I found them online, and I ordered them. And you always have to put in a minimum order. So it's not usually like 2 or 3 boxes. Right. Like I had to order probably like 24 boxes.
Good Lord.
And got them in, and it probably was 2 weeks later, the ATF walks into the store. And I was like, he's like, "I hope you're not doing what I think you're doing." And he told me that we couldn't sell them without a liquor license, which flabbergasted me. I had no idea. So he told me I could give them away, but we couldn't sell them. So I took them out of inventory, and if someone came in and spent $200 or more, I gave them a box of alcohol gummies if they wanted them, until they were gone. And that's it.
They're gone now.
They're gone. No more. I'm not going to get in trouble.
Right. Well, I want to ask you one more question before I go. I know I said in the next 5 years, but do you plan on leaving like a legacy behind?
I hope so. I hope that we can leave this store to our kids. My husband would love to open another one. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but that would be a great thing to do maybe in the next 5 years. I want to get this one established well. I would love to start to do some online things if we can, and get our name really established in the community before we go out and try to open another one. But yes, I do want my kids to benefit from it.
Okay. Where all can people reach you? Is it the website, the Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff?
Yes. We have a lot of customers message us through Messenger on Facebook. They can call the store, or they can message us through social media.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And until next time.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate you coming and doing this.
No problem. That's it.